Process of how we harvest the milk from a cow, and I'll talk to you a little bit about how we produce the milk in the cow and the dairy itself. This is a registered dairy, so it is a licensed registered dairy. There's 726 dairies registered in Australia, so this is one of them. We have to meet certain guidelines set by the food authorities, so we also have to be clean and hygienic as possible. So you see the dairy is quite clean, all dairies are quite clean for that purpose. We do process the milk here for human consumption. In Australia we have 6 major breeds of dairy cattle, and you may be lucky to see some come through of those breeds. If you don't, there's only 18 dairy cows at the moment on the showgrounds, and they are out the back on display, and I've had to use them every hour for the last 6 shows, so we may not be able to fill the dairy up with all the breeds, but you will be able to see them. So the first ones there you see come in, a lot of people recognise them as the Jersey, a little caramel cow. They're pretty well known for high fat contents in their milk. That's what the Jerseys are really good for. Most people recognise the large black and white cow. About 90% of dairies have the black and white cow. This is what's known as the Holstein. Quite a large trained cow as opposed to the Jersey here. They're predominantly on dairy farms because they're well known for their high volumes of milk. So that's why you see quite a lot of them on a dairy. We also have the Illawarra. The Illawarras are predominantly dark red colour. But we still do see a fair few running ones out there, which is a throwback to one of the breeds that we used to make this Illawarra. She's actually the only Australian bred dairy cow that we have, and hence the name. She was brought up on the south coast of New South Wales in the Illawarra region. That's how she originally originated from. We also have brown Swiss. Brown Swiss are obviously brown. They're from Switzerland, so they're quite a large frame cow. They're quite large also because they're well known for trekking through the Alps in Switzerland, so that's why you see them quite large. The one that's just come in down here, she's what's known as the Ayrshire. So there she is down the side there. And we have one more cow, which is the caramel white colour. That's what's known as the Guernsey. So for a dairy cow to produce milk, that's what these cows are for, is milking. They have to have a calf. So for the dairy cow to have a calf, she's about 2 years old, which is when she first will have her calf. We'll milk her for around 305 days, and then we'll stop milking her for about 50 to 60 days. She'll go out the back, have a bit of a rest, because she's worked quite hard for us. She'll then calve again and come back into the system and start milking again for another 305 days. This is what we call a lactation, and in that lactation, she can produce around 8,000 litres on average. In Australia, dairy cows average 25 litres of milk per day. We generally milk the cows twice a day. Some of the higher production farms will milk their cows 3 times. Mostly we milk morning and afternoon in about 12-hour intervals. So once the guys have loaded in these cows, generally we don't do this at home. The cows are in a herd, so we usually have the cows in a herd mentality, and they will actually come in themselves, but for obvious reasons we can't let the cows free range. So they all have to be let in. Usually only takes about 10 minutes at home to milk this amount of cows, and here it takes us about 20 minutes just to load them, so you'll see as cows come through as they are. For a dairy cow to produce milk, we have to feed dairy cows. We feed them predominantly pasture, which is nice lush grass that we produce for the cow. We have to fill a high energy protein diet for these cows, so we have to feed them high quality grass. We also supplement the cows with grain, and this will fulfill their nutritional requirements. Just so you have a rough idea, we monitor how much we feed our cows. These dairy cows here actually eat probably more feed than you see the big beef cows next door. They eat on average of 24 kilos of dry matter per day. Most people are looking at me thinking that means nothing. Dry matter is how we weigh out what the feed is. And it's basically, once we get a leaf of grass, we dry that out. We get about 95% of water out of grass, and what we've got left is the product we call dry matter. If you have a 2 metre squared box trailer, and so it's probably about here to here for the little kids, and about this high, full of fresh grass clippings, you know, when you mow the lawn, tip them in a box and get them that high. That's about 24 kilos of dry matter, so it's quite a lot of grass these dairy cows have to eat. They can also drink up to 250 litres of water a day, so they need quite a lot of feed. Out of that feed, the dairy cow uses about 70% of that to convert it straight into milk. So they're basically converting grass and water into milk. They're quite efficient, these animals. So we'll have some cows milking shortly. We'll prepare the cows for milking. By preparing the cows for milking, we just clean their teats. We make sure that there's no foreign material on the cow's teats. This is for human consumption. We need to make sure that the cow's hygiene and the quality of our milk is best as possible. So we'll wash the cow, dry them. We'll then give the cow a quick squirt of milk. Has anyone got any idea why we give the cow a quick squirt? Yeah? Yeah, we want to see the colour. Is that what you said? That's right. You know the colour of milk? White. Excellent. White. White is the milk that we want to see out of these cows. Dairy cows are quite prone to what's known as mastitis. It's an infection in the cow's udder. It's a breakdown of milk cells. It can form clots and discoloration in the milk, so we have to monitor the cow as close as possible. So every time she comes in, we'll squirt the milk out, visually observe the cow to make sure that she's healthy and she's producing high quality milk. We'll also take a sample of the cow once a month, also for health reasons, and to make sure the quality of the milk's kept, and we'll send it to the lab, each individual cow, and we'll test the milk to see how the cow is tracking. So we have to make sure we keep the highest state of health on our cows. If the cow does get mastitis, it can be quite expensive for us to treat the cow. It can be quite detrimental as well. The cow can be quite sick, so she'll drop production. We can't use the milk out of the cow several days on end. We also have to treat her with antibiotics, and worst case, we can actually lose the cow from it, so we don't want that to happen. These cows on average are worth $2,500, and most farms have about 260 milking cows on them. So there's quite a lot of investment in our animals we have to look after. So then once we've prepared the cow, we're quite happy with her milk, we will then pick up this milking machine. This milking machine is what's known as the cups, or the cluster of cups, where we'll flip the machine over and we'll place our finger on this black button. That black button there will actuate vacuum inside this teat cup. This teat cup has 44 kPa of vacuum in there. Our machines are regularly tested, so we make sure that we ensure the best health of our cows and the best teat quality condition of the cow. We need to maintain that 44 kilopascals of air. That's why you see the receiver vessel and the vacuum vessel upstairs is extra capacity of vacuum once we actuate the button. So the vacuum's now holding this machine on the cow's teats. It's not actually sucking the milk out. It does not suck the milk out of the cow. It's holding the machine up onto the cow's teats. If you see inside the clear shell here, there's a black rubber. It's known as the liner. It's squeezing and releasing on the end of my thumb. It's just like a calf sucking on the cow's teeth. It's quite a gentle, natural massage. That's caused by the pulsation in the background, because of the squeeze-release phase. So the cow's now gently being massaged, and that's enough to stimulate her to let her milk cow. Often dairy cows, when they get herded into the yards, the noise of the machines is enough to stimulate the oxytocin in the cow for the cow to release the milk. So it's quite natural for these dairy cows to be milked. From there, you'll see the milk will go down into this bowl. All dairy farmers usually only see their milk here in this bowl. We usually have blue or black milk lines, we can't really see the milk. And we usually have stainless steel the whole way through. Because this is a display dairy, we've got some clear stuff so you guys can see what happens. So the vacuum then will come into aid and lift the milk up into this milk line here. From there, the milk will gravity flow to the milk out the back. We herd the milk out through that screen door. We send the milk via a paper filter. Inline paper filter gets changed each milking. It's just there for extra security to make sure that we don't accidentally suck any foreign material into the milking machines. The cows have got quite hairy tails. We may accidentally get that in the cup. So to keep the best quality of milk, we make sure that we have that inline paper filter. Once we've done that, the milk will then be stored into a large cooling tank known as the vat. Where there we will then chill this milk. This milk comes out of the cow around 38 degrees, and we have to chill this milk within 3 hours under 4 degrees. We have to do this to stop promoting bacteria to grow in the milk. If milk is over 4 degrees, we can promote bacteria to grow. This is where we can end up with rotten or sour milk. Most dairy farms will average about 11,000 litres of milk, so we want to make sure we keep the best quality of the milk standards in that tank. So once we've done that, we're pretty satisfied as the dairy farmer. We actually have done our job. We've harvested the milk from the cow. The milk can stay in that vat for up to a day. We're there, the milk truck comes and collects our milk. When the milk truck collects our milk, he takes a sample of our milk. So this is every day, he takes a sample. He'll test our milk. He'll test it for somatic cell count, which is the indication of mastitis level in our herd, to make sure that we're doing the right thing in there with our cow health. He'll also check for the plate count, the bacteria count. It checks the cleanliness of our machines. We have to meet certain thresholds, and if we don't, we're penalised. And if we go too far above, we can actually lose our licence and not supply the milk. So we have to make sure we meet these certain thresholds. We'll also check the fat and protein levels. Different fat and protein levels can be altered on different farms, and different cows produce different fat and protein levels. So if we change the diet of our cow, we can actually change the fat and protein levels. Depending on what we supply our milk for, depends on what fat and protein levels we want in our milk. And also depending on what price we get for our milk. So once we're finished with the milking of the cow, you'll see the guys will take the cups off. They'll actually kick the vacuum on, and they'll let the vacuum stop, and they'll pull the cups off. Most dairy farms have automatic cup removers. That's where the flow rate's set and the cups will be taken off. This dairy, we have so many different farmers come through, and we decide that the farmer can have his decision when he likes his cow to be milked. Different cows do like to be milked differently from different farms. That's why this cow here is playing up. She's actually not the normal milker, and she knows that. So we also will spray the cow's teats with iodine, which is that orange squiggly hose hanging in the pit here. We have iodine there. We put a light film over the end of the cow's teats, puts a light seal on the end of the teat canal. The cows are quite prone to mastitis at this stage of post-milking, so we want to try and prevent that as much as possible. So we have to sanitise the cow's teats. Usually lasts for about 5 minutes until the cow's teeth, the muscles then retract, close, and the mucks can't no longer get up into the teat canal. This dairy here, it's a very common dairy you will see in the industry. That's what's known as a herringbone. We usually have cows facing you guys as well. So we'll have a cow each side of us, but this one's set up for display, so we just have a single side. So it's a herringbone, very common, range in sizes. This one here can hold 22 cows at once. I've seen them hold as little as 4 cows on each side, and then up to 40 cows each side. So they can be quite large, depending on your herd size, depending on how big your plant is on your farm. The other dairy that's very, very common is what's known as a rotary. A rotary is where the cows walk onto the platform, the farmer stands in one position, he prepares the cow, he places the cups on the cow, she goes around in circles on a big merry-go-round while she's being milked, comes off the other side, milk visits the milk. So the platform can spin various speeds depending on the size of the platform. They range anywhere from 16 cows on the platform at once and up to 100 cows. So there's some quite large dairy farms out there. The dairy industry has also adapted some latest and greatest technology. Everybody's into technology, and we have robots that milk our cows also. In Australia, there's currently 25 farms milking with robots. Fortunately, I'm one of them guys, and I don't actually do this chore down here because I've eliminated that with the robots. So what the robot is, the cow presents herself to the machine, so the farmer's not actually around. The cow has electronic identification, walks through the machine, it then will wash the cow's teats. At the same time, it'll be dispensing feed and monitoring how much feed the cow's eating. It'll place the cups on the cow, milk the cow, it'll monitor the milk. You can actually visually monitor the cow's milk better than we can visually see. It'll spray the cow's teats with iodine, it'll release the cow, send a load of data to a PC program, and then the farmer can go and look at his PC and see how his cows are milking. The only downside to the robot is it milks 24 hours a day, so cows milk day and night, and the farmer can get a call out. So the robot actually will ring the farmer up if something goes wrong and tell the farmer that there's something wrong with the machine or the cow. You better get down here and see what's going on. So it's quite smart and it's quite good. I like it because most of my dairy farming friends, especially my next door neighbour, they get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to milk their cows. I'm still in bed, and I wake up at 7 or 8 or whenever it is I get up. Once or twice a week I get a phone call. I don't mind. I quite like it. So the idea of putting the robots into the dairy industry was to help out the industry. We have a very hard challenge to adapt labour into the dairy industry. For some reason people don't want to come in, and we think it's purely because of the hours. Dairy farmers spend on average around 70% of their working day in here harvesting the milk. So if we put the robots in there and help out that process, we can hopefully then attract more people into the industry and make it a lot more attractive for them. It's also just technology and it's a way of the future. Okay, hopefully I've covered everything that you guys would like to know. If there's any questions, please feel free, come down and ask me. I'm quite willing to answer them. No questions too silly, so please ask. I prefer to answer them. And you're welcome. Have a go at the cups. And I hope you've enjoyed the show and the rest of your day. Thank you.